with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to the Paranormal Portal. And these are the Night Terrors. Hope you guys are doing great. Thank you so much for joining me. Those of you that have made your way in anyway. I do apologize. I'm getting nailed by a cold. So I'm doing the best I can. But if I have to mute a bunch tonight, you'll know why. Because I'm going to be froggier than hell all night, I'm sure of it. But anyway, enough of my whining. Hope you guys are wonderful and ready to be entertained because, well, that's what I'm going to try to do as much as I can. So, but I don't have to do it alone, thank God, because I got my co-pilot here, my firstborn child and the fruit of my loins.
Could have used without that last part, but yes.
I love the face.
I am here.
The face you make when I say it, though, is so classic.
Oh, I'm sure it's just priceless.
You start out with this smile, and I'm watching you on screen before you get on the regular screen. You're like, it just changes to like this.
I'm glad I can offer you some entertainment tonight.
This grimacing look, and I just live for it. It's just so funny.
I'm sure.
Could be the cold medicine, though, too. You never know.
Yeah.
Sorry. But welcome to the show again. How you been?
Oh, awesome. Went to the state fair today. Had some great food, great drinks, great entertainment, and great music. And now I'm ready for a great show.
Ooh, that was pretty slick. I got to give you credit. That was pretty smooth.
All on the spot.
That was nice. Right off the hip. Nice job. Well, I hope we're going to actually make that come true, of course. That's the plan. Tonight we're going to go into the cryptid corner of the Night Terrors, and we got a lot to unpack here, as they say. We got to unpack all this. But we do have some great things coming up. We're going to do some BFRO reports. We're going to do a Brent Swanser article, and we're going to go to the Germa Files for the last part. Instead of the Trail Cam Terrorists, we're doing the Germa Files tonight. And we're going to be showcasing one of the excerpts that Wes has done. And it's really cool. I think you guys are going to dig it quite a bit. So that'll be on the tail end of the show as we get to the close. So that's what we're going to be doing. And, of course, if you want to call in and be a part of the show, you sure can. The number is 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500. That's the numbers for fun right here on the Paranormal Portal. So we'll get right into that in just a few seconds. There we go. Get the letters off your face or off above your head. Trying to trim it a little bit, crop a little bit. But yeah, so we got all that and more. But at any rate, let's get this bus rolling. Hope you all are ready because it's time for bed. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are underway here on the Paranormal Portal, and of course, we're going to talk about the cryptids tonight. And the article that we're going to be showcasing from Brent Swansers, I haven't even read it, but it's the one thing I know about his work is that man always teaches me something. I've been at this for years. Before I even had a show, I was a fanatic about the paranormal. But I have to tell you, for all the years that I've been looking into this, researching it for the shows and stuff, that man still teaches me something in every article. It's just amazing. He brings up things I've never even heard of. I don't know how he does it, but he knows how to dig up a good story and really find some obscure details that I couldn't even begin to touch. So Ethan's exploding on the emoticons. Ethan, don't spam the chat. This ain't Twitch. But anyway, that's what's on the boilerplate tonight, so let's get to it. I think we'll start out with some BFRO reports because I like those. I like going through the different states. I know I've always asked you guys, give me a state. Give me a state if you want to hear about Bigfoot reports in your area. So, Sheldon, watch the chat for me while I get this loaded up here, and we'll get onto it. So
You got it.
I do got it. I'm getting it anyway. Excuse me. God, I'm just so froggy. There we go. I think. No, this is not it. There. Any states come up yet?
Not yet. Oh, Michigan.
Michigan. We're going to go to Michigan. I know where that is. That's a beautiful thing. I know where Michigan is. Let me do
Sure
this.
do.
Okay, let me put it back up on screen here. And we're going to Michigan. Let's see. That's the hand. I used to live in Michigan, over by Flint.
Oh, Flint.
That's right. Okay, so what county are we talking about? Michigan. What county? When you say a state, give me a county too, or give me a few counties to check, because they are listed by state on the BFRO. We're looking at the Bigfoot Research Organization .net page, which of course was created by Matt Moneymaker and others, and it's a great repository for claims of people seeing stuff. So when you say a state, give me a county too, if you would, please. Otherwise, I'll just look for one that has a lot of reports. Here's one.
Washington?
What was
Washington? Washington? No.
there
Listen, I'm butchering it tonight.
Yeah, actually, Washdina is looks like it's right.
All right.
You did good. Looks like they had a Class A in 2004. They've had the most recent is November 2008. That's listed here. But let's see what happened in 2004 for this Class A reports. And the season was 2004 spring, month of March, the 27th in Michigan, Washtenaw County. The details for the location are edited, so that must mean they don't want people to know exactly where, but the nearest town is Salem. It says, I'm only 12 years old. Oh, wow. I was sitting on the couch when I was waiting for my dad to come home when I saw a black figure running down the street. It was about 11:30 at night when I saw it, and I thought it was a gremlin? Or Germiln? I don't know what he's saying. Germiln or baby Bigfoot. I didn't want, maybe he's trying to say gremlin. I didn't want to see it up close because I was too scared. It was maybe about 3 to 4 feet tall, and it was running with long arms swaying back and forth. Also, it ran like the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Or Dame. But then I ran up the stairs until my dad got home. Also noticed, no, just scary. No, just scary. Other witnesses, just me. Other stories, no, except others in the Ann Arbor area. And it was around houses, and the area was covered by farmland and wooded area. So, when you hear of little reports like that, of shorter ones, could it be a young, immature Squatch? Maybe, but I don't know. I tend to think that could be the Pukwudgies or other such little creatures that we hear reported often. And the reason being is because I don't think the little ones are left to wander alone like that for the Bigfoot. There's so many reports of them being seen carrying their young, And they're young, these things are 7-8 feet tall, so they're younger, proportionally scaled. So a 2 or 3 foot Bigfoot would still just be a toddler. So I can't imagine that they're out there wandering alone without a parent very close by. So I think this might have been something else. I'm just saying. I don't know. I can't be sure, obviously. It's just me speculating. But their family groups seem really tight. Like they don't just leave their kids unattended, or, if they do leave them unattended, they're in a very desolate area or very, very off the beaten path. Certainly not on a road. So I don't think that would probably be a little baby Bigfoot. I think that is probably something else that we talk about on the show, whether it's a proto-pygmy or a pukwudgie or any other kind of weird other little diminutive creature. But I don't know. I'll just leave it there. Did we get any other states?
Yeah, we got Texas from Brooks.
Okay,
Brooks. But no county.
No Texas. Uh-oh. We need a county. Give us a county.
Let us know, Brooks.
Yeah, if you say a state, give me a county to work with so that I can get it up. And Texas is another one that I can find without help. There's very few places in the United States or the world that I can find without help. But Texas is one of them.
Brooks said Lubbock, Lubbock.
Lubbock, Lu. Yeah, there's one report there in Lubbock. I don't know what it is, but since there's only one, we'll read it. It's a Class B from January of 2001. And this report says it was a winter, January, and Class A, B, C. Well, let me look at that for a second. Frequently asked questions. I want to see what they qualify as their Class A, B, C sightings. I know that A is like seeing it, in person. It's like you're watching it and you're able to observe it. The B's, I think, are just hearing or signs like wood knocks, howls, tree breaks, things like that, or other signs, maybe a Class B. Class C, I don't know. Maybe that's finding footprints or something. I don't know. But let's see. So this is Texas, Lubbock County, January of 2001. It says location details in the Yellow House Canyon, just south of Lubbock's lake site. Nearest town is Lubbock, Texas. Nearest road is Yellow House Canyon. Hold on, I got a cough. Again, forgive me, I'm coming down with a cold, so I'm just getting hammered today. Observed on the afternoon of January 5th, 2001, I discovered several footprints in the Yellow House Canyon of Lubbock, Texas. I guess that's footprints are B class too, I guess. It took several photographs of the footprints. Other witnesses, there were probably 4 or 5 witnesses to the tracks and photographs. Other stories, there are several stories of Bigfoot-like creatures that roam the canyons. Some people call them the canyon thang. Time and conditions, daytime, on the edge of the canyon, flat land with little vegetation and fresh snow. Okay. Snow in Texas. Wow. Is that up in the elevation or something? Isn't snow in Texas like really rare?
I would think so.
I would think so too. I mean, my God, it's so far south. Maybe it's just way on the north part of Texas. Maybe it's close enough to Oklahoma or New Mexico or whatever. I know that in the mountains of like Arizona and stuff, there's snow. So let's see. But that's the only one report from Texas for Lubbock County.
How about Ethan wants Harris County?
And that's Texas as well.
That is.
D. I got to go through my alphabet here. F. G. H. Hardin or Harrison. There's no Harris. No reports for Harris, but there is Harrison and Hardin counties. Do you have a? I guess I can just pick. Let's pick Harrison because there's 8 reports out of there. I don't know where this is in conjunction with Texas. Where in Texas? I don't know. Actually, they had 2001. They had a Class A. In 1989, a Class A. 2003, Class A. 2003, and it doesn't seem like there's any new reports coming out of there. But let's look at the 2001 Class A and see what was experienced. This is the year 2001. Winter, December 9th, Texas, Harrison County, nearest town, Marshall, observed a 7-foot upright, stooped ape-like figure, dark brown in color. It had a deer hindquarter in its left hand. Other witnesses, just my dog. It was 7:30 to 7:45 a.m., so right in the morning. Boggy and black cypress trees is the environment. Huh. So it's carrying a deer quarter, like the thigh and drumstick of the deer.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. Now, I think that's interesting. And so is that obviously there's more to the deer. So you got to wonder, it's often theorized that they hunt in groups. Is it possible that family groups get together and hunt, or that this is, being as it was just one of them, was there other ones nearby carrying other parts of this deer, or what is it that happens there? Is that where they split the kill kind of thing? I don't know. I just think these things are really smart, and I think that they also have a great sense of cooperation. Maybe they're really territorial too, but perhaps they do coordinate on hunts with other tribes or clans or family groups or whatever. It might be very possible. And then they just kind of split the kills, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, I could see that.
It's just a wild supposition. There's absolutely nothing I have to substantiate that other than just, Northwest. Android, what is he saying? Snows a lot in Northeast Texas, perhaps, Northwest. Okay. I did not know that, Android. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Perry County, Kentucky, Rachel wants to know about. Let's check out Perry County, Kentucky. Okay, hold on. I am so not liking the cold. I only get one, every year or so, but man, when they hit me, they just hit me. All right, so this is not the what was it? Kentucky. Where the hell's Kentucky?
Kentucky. Yep.
Is this Kentucky? I wonder. I got it right. Yay.
Very impressive.
I'm not a geographical man. I'll just say that.
You get an A in geography. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Let's see what's going on in Perry County. There's 2 of them in Perry County, according to the BFRO. A Class A in 77 and a Class B in 86. Let's look at the Class A, because those are generally the most exciting because they actually entail a sighting. 1977, summer, July, in Kentucky, Perry County. It's in the mountains of eastern Kentucky, about 10 miles north of Hazard. Oh, cool. Hazard, Dukes of Hazard. Yeah. If you travel south out of Jackson towards Hazard Highway 15 is about 20 miles down on the right. If you take a right and go about 4 miles to the holler my family lives in. Very dense area. Almost can't walk around because it's so overgrown. Nearest town is Chavies. Okay. Observed, I was young, about 12 or 13, and I'd gone to spend a few weeks with my uncle and cousins. They lived in a secluded area. Only our family lived in this holler. And the houses were fairly spread apart. Well, my uncle worked night shift in a mine down on the road, so that left me and my cousins and aunt at home nights alone. It was clear, hot night, about 11:30 p.m. My cousin and his mom and me were the only ones up, and we were watching TV. Just about 30 feet from the back door, there was a corral with my cousin's pony in it. We were watching TV when all of a sudden the pony went absolutely crazy. So bad that we all jumped up to see what was going on. Just by the way it was carrying on, we thought it was a bobcat in there and with it, which isn't unusual to find around there. Me and my cousin both grabbed frog gigs. Not sure what frog gigs are. And thought we would just go out and it would run off. Feeling real confident, we went out. And when we rounded the porch and could see, we both just about messed our pants. It wasn't a bobcat. It was big, and it was on the other side of the corral, headed away like it heard us and was leaving. I swear this to be true statement. It stepped over a 4-foot rail fence as it would one of those things you put in a doorway to keep a child out. All I ever saw of it was its back. It never looked back around at us. It stepped over the fence, and in a mere moment, it crossed the dirt road and leaped across the creek and up the side of the hill. After it left the corral and the light wasn't so good, it was by knowing the terrain and the sounds that it made is how I know what it did. I had another cousin who lived around the bend in that direction, and the other direction it went, whose dog disappeared that night. It was chained up, and the chain was ripped out of the doghouse. So whatever it was took the dog and took the chain and all. No way that dog did it, and a person wouldn't have had the brute strength to do that. It was a strong setup. Remember, I was 12 or 13, and we didn't know much about Bigfoot or such, but I promise you that this thing was 7 to 9 feet tall and as wide as two men standing shoulder to shoulder. No sound was heard as far as a scream, and no smell was noticed, but we sure saw something, and it wasn't a bear. My family was and is raised in the woods, and we're all good woodsmen, even at that age. We'd spent all our lives hunting, fishing, and exploring those hills, and this was something very unique. I thought about someone playing a trick on us, but everyone knew that if you did something like that, you could easily be shot, and I have no doubt that it was a real animal. I didn't sleep at all that night, and I wasn't really afraid. I was, but it was more curious. It left a feeling that night that I can't explain. We looked for footprints or anything the next morning, but all we found was where it jumped the creek and dug into the hillside going up it. Not much more than a big slide of dirt. No one ever said they saw it again, and no noises heard, but it was really dry and dusty that time of month. I won't really talk about this much because nobody I tell other than my family believes it. But I wasn't alone when I saw it, and I know what I saw. I also noticed dog missing is all. Other witness, me and my cousin and his mom, but she waited at the door so she didn't come around the house. Other stories, yeah, some people in those hollers can tell you some hair-raising tales, but none that I could link to what I saw. It was 11:30 p.m. It was clear night. It was street light next to the house shining on the horse pen. The environment when I saw it was in the bottom of a holler, and there were mountains on both sides, about 90 yards of flat ground in between, and a small creek ran beside on the mountain. Yeah, that's quite a sighting. Jeez. You got to wonder, was it going after the pony, do you think? That's an awful big game.
I mean, if they can hunt deer, I'm sure they can hunt pony.
Well, they don't have to chase it far, that's for sure, because they're in corrals. Exactly. But I just mean as far as how big an animal that is. I know that, of course, a 9-foot Bigfoot has got to be amazingly strong, and I'm sure could lift a pony and haul it off. But would they? See, the other part of it is they have to know that if we have, I'm sure that they know because I believe they're intelligent. But if we are keeping animals, other than chickens, they don't seem to be too worried about that. But, bigger animals, they don't seem to prey on those as often because I think they know that if our animals go missing, it really, causes an uproar and a lot of people notice and probably start pushing through the woods looking for it. But then again, it did take a dog, so which is even more of a painful thing. Well, maybe not more, but it's just another painful thing.
Yeah.
That's really, really wild. I don't know. Maybe it was hunting horse. Maybe
a pony.
Maybe my kid wants a pony.
Yeah, he's going to get a pony. Android Purity says, Maryland, let's see if Lon Strickler's 1981 encounter is there. Carroll or Howard County?
Oh, thanks, Wes. I'm sorry. I was just reading what Wes said. Brent is too humble to say anyone publicly, so I will. My little project would have never happened without Brent's help. If you dig my new content, be sure and thank Brent. Yeah. Well, thanks, brother. I'm just glad to be able to help, but yeah, I can't take credit for your content though. That's all you and the magic of the Chronicles. We're going to show some of that content at the end of the show when we open up the Germa Files. So stay tuned for that. What was that county? I'm sorry.
Let's see. It was Carroll or Howard County of Maryland.
Of Maryland. Let's see if I can find Maryland. This is going to be tricky. It gets over where
it's somewhere up there.
It's in here somewhere, and I don't know. I'm going to end up being an idiot. I'm going to pull up a map on my other screen so I can find stuff. Because there's no names on these maps. U.S. map. All right, let me blow this up so I can see. That didn't help. Nope, I need it bigger than that. Let me just start clicking stuff and see if I can figure out where it is. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. There's North Carolina, Virginia.
It's like right above
it's right
Virginia.
Right next to Virginia and Delaware. Okay, so it's in here. Yes, I got it. Maryland. Okay. All right, which county was it?
It was Howard or, let's see the other one. Or Carroll. Carroll.
Well, there's two in Carroll. Let's look at that one. I don't know if there's a Class A, but I prefer the Class A's. Yes, there is from 1981. The last sighting in Carroll County was 2012, which is a tree break, and receives a response to rock clacks. But let's look at the Class A from 1981. Year was 1981. Spring, May. Well, it's May 9th. Maryland, Carroll County, described above. Its nearest town was Sykesville. Okay. It says, in 1981, I was on the south branch of the Patapsco River. Approximately 1 mile downstream from Route 32, this section of river flattens out into riffles and then empties into a larger pool. I've fished this part of the river ever since I moved to Maryland from Pennsylvania in 1976. I was fishing on the north bank of the river, and I noticed a stray, large mixed-breed dog show a lot of interest in the south bank. This area has about a 100-foot open area before it becomes wooded. The dog suddenly started to bark and jumped at something that stood up in the bush or brush near the river. This animal, the best terms I can describe, stood approximately 7 to 8 feet, and it had the shape of a slouching human. Full dark brown matted hair covering the body. The creature was making a ticking sound, hard to describe. The dog lunged at it and was quickly slammed to the ground by the creature. By this time, I was wading across the shallow area of the river and caught a scent of this animal. Reminded me of a heavy musk smell, kind of like that of a fox. The dog ran away and the creature started to walk into the woods. I tried to walk behind it, but I was in waders and lost sight of the creature. I did see the dog a bit later, and it had blood in its mouth and backside. Oh. I drove to a phone in Sykesville and called the police, and I was told to return to the scene and wait. It took me about 3 minutes to get back, and a police cruiser, state police, was already there. I was immediately told to leave the area. I returned an hour later and noticed several state vehicles and one federal vehicle as well as police. The area was taped off, and I could see people combing the area. I was told once again to leave. I tried for several days to get answers from state official, but I never got an answer. I called WJZ, WBAL, WMAR about the incidents, and each seemed very interested. I contacted each station later and was told that they had no idea of an incident and did not want to talk to me. That's about it. I was very frustrated by this. I've reported this incident to only a few sources over the years. If you have any information, I would appreciate it. Was this Lon Strickler?
I guess so.
Lon might have actually done the report. I don't know if it was actually his report or what. It says, I was told at the scene by a police officer that hair and other evidence was found. One witness. So if that could be Lon Strickler, of course, Phantoms and Monsters, Lon Strickler, an amazing cryptozoological researcher, and very, very cool. Wow. So I don't know if he actually, this is his experience, or did he file it for somebody? I don't know. But it sounds like that would be a hell of a thing. I feel bad for that dog, though. Jeez.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Because the strength of these things is so profound that even a simple thing like slamming it into the dirt, obviously it had internal bleeding going on if it was bleeding from his mouth and its rectum. So something got ruptured in that, and what a deal.
That's too bad.
It is too bad. I mean, even if it's a stray, that's still tough. I love dogs.
Yeah, Android Purity said that this is Sykesville, and it's only 15 minutes from him.
Wow. Well, you should dig into that, Android. See if you can find anything more about this report from 81 and any subsequent cover-ups or anything like that. I'd be really interested to hear if there's more information from this story. This is incredible. The fact that they immediately showed up with several other vehicles really shows that there was some kind of response ready to do this. This doesn't sound like it was a cold organization. They were waiting for something like this to come in. So I don't know, because having worked for the state, I can tell you nothing happens quickly. Not this state, but the state of Minnesota. Nothing happens quickly.
Oh, yeah.
These guys were all ready to stage and to go into an area, so that's pretty impressive. But great claim. I didn't realize Lon had, if that is his, I didn't realize that, that was his experience. Wow. Okay, any new states? Any other states?
Yes, Tennessee, Franklin County.
Tennessee, Franklin County. Let's see what's going on in Tennessee. This is Kentucky, I think. I think this is Tennessee. Aha, I got it.
Ooh, look at
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank my mother. Thanks, Mom.
you. Yeah.
All right. What was the county?
Franklin.
Franklin. EF. There's none in Franklin. There's not one report on the BFRO for Franklin County.
Well, no activity there. Let's see if I can find another one then.
That's all right. Let's look, since we're in Tennessee. Let's go to, is there Johnson County? The reason that no, there isn't. Okay. The reason I'm asking is because that's where my cousin lives. And so I was going to see if there's anything there. But
which county has the most reports?
Four for Dixon. And there's another 4 over here. And that was for Tipton. Let's look at Tipton.
That's a nice word. I like that one.
Tipton.
I don't know why I like it.
I love that word. All right. Looks like the Class A was 94. A few Class Bs, but let's look at the Class A. I think this will be the last one we'll do, and then we'll get to the article and the Germa Files coming up next. All right. So this is the last Bigfoot report. 1994, winter, December, Tennessee, Tipton County. The details are: sighting occurred just outside of Covington, Tennessee. In the outer edges of Tipton County, the area we were in is referred to by locals as Piljerk, located in the Hatchie River. The nearest town is Covington. Me and 3 of my friends were coon hunting. We were sitting around waiting on the dogs to strike, and we heard something rustling in the leaves behind us. It was a bright night out, and we were right on the bank of the Hatchie River. In the direction that we heard the noise was a small bluff, and then we went into an open field. Due to the brightness of the moon, it almost looked like daylight in that field. When we turned to see what was making the noise, we saw the monster on the edge of the field. All we could see was a perfect outline of the creature's body. It was very fast on its feet. We never saw it stand still. The first time we turned around, we saw it run across the edge of the field, faster than any other animal could run. Everyone was shocked and was asking one another if they saw it too. Seconds later, it ran across again, and this time it went from upright to all fours and back upright. It never broke stride. It appeared to be about 6'5" to 8 feet tall, and weigh about 225 to 275 is nothing. Not for something that big. You see, that's, again, who did we have on? We had on Vic, and he was talking about a lot of eyewitnesses really understating the weight of these things. Because, say this person's an average sized person, well, 275 seems huge. You hear 6'3", 250 pounds, that's a big person. And it is, but when you're talking about something 8 feet tall, all of a sudden it becomes anemic, So these weights, I'm sure. It was hairy, but not like you see in the Bigfoot movies. It was very agile and robust. Few people have seen this creature, but the ones that have refuse to go back to that area after dark. We were all sitting on our four-wheelers waiting for the coon dogs to strike. It occurred in December 1994. That incident that occurred at the Hatchie River bottom, the area consists of mainly hardwood timber and has numerous creeks and sloughs running through it. Very cool. Wow. Yeah, I don't think that weight was accurate at all, though.
No way, because I'm in between that weight, and I'm 5'8", so no, that'd be a very skinny one, if anything.
It would be, absolutely. Okay, we're gonna move on.
Titan, just was curious if you could, and if not, that's fine. But if you could go back to Texas, and I told him I would see if you could Anderson County.
I can do anything. It's our show. We can do whatever we want.
Well.
We can do whatever we want. Here, this is the portal. Anderson County?
Yes.
Okay, that's right on top. Let's see what's noted in here. Class A was June 2001. Midnight sighting by a couple parked in a pasture near Elkhart. Stargazing. This one sounds familiar, like I might have read it another time, but let's see what it says. The nearest town is Elkhart. Nearest road is CR County Road, I assume, 2109. One night at around 11:30 or 12, me and my boyfriend and his cousin were out in a pasture at my boyfriend's grandpa's land, just sitting around talking about it, and his cousin looked over and saw a very large figure was walking towards us. She told us to look, and it was over 7 feet tall because my boyfriend is 6'5", and it had long arms and very bulky. It stood there looking at us, and as we stood up, it crouched down. I ran to my car, and his cousin jumped in the back seat, and I climbed over the passenger seat into the driver's seat and turned on the lights. And it was gone by that time. I had turned on the lights so my boyfriend got into the car, and we left and never went back at night. Yeah, that's very creepy. Wow. It's walking towards them, and that's what... Yeah. That's the disconcerting part. Why was it walking towards them? That's very creepy. That's the part that'll get you a little nervous. All right. I promised you some Brent Swanser, and by God, I'm a man of my word. And this is coming from mysteriousuniverse.org. Please check out mysteriousuniverse.org. Check out the BFROs, for that matter, too. And if you've got a sighting, definitely record it, because a lot of people use the BFRO as a resource, and so if it's incomplete or, it doesn't do nearly the good that it can do. So if you've had a sighting and you want to be on the show too, that's cool. Just a little self-promotion there. So this article, again, from Brent Swanser, a wonderful friend, the pinnacle of paranormal journalism, in my opinion. But you can find him on Facebook, as well as his group, Dark League Paranormal. And it's a great group. A lot of fun, wonderful people in that group, so check it out. So this article is brand new. It's called Surreal Encounters with Flying Jellyfish, Sky Squids, and Other Utterly Bizarre Beasts. And it's by our very own Brent Swanser. Again, mysteriousuniverse.org. There's plenty of reports on UFOs to go around, but they are mostly described as mechanical craft of some sort, whether that be alien, man-made, or something else. But there's a subspecies of UFO reports that doesn't get nearly as much attention. And that is of strange things in the sky that seem to be almost living. Bioluminescent creatures of some sorts, such creatures have appeared sporadically throughout the history of UFO sightings, and typically appear as glowing translucent jellyfish, squid, or other creatures that seem to be in the domain of the deep rather than the air. And here we will look at a selection of such completely bizarre sightings. Sightings like these have supposedly gone back for years. In the 1950s, a policeman in England claimed to have had a run-in with a low-flying sky jellyfish as he was riding his bicycle on patrol. He claimed that it drifted right down in front of him and that he actually bumped up against it, describing the sensation as similar to brushing up against a soft blanket. and that it had a slightly unpleasant smell of mildew. In 1958, there was also a report from Florida where a policeman named Faustin Gallegos found a translucent purple blob about the size of a soccer ball outside of his house. He claimed that when he had approached it, it seemed to be some sort of dying creature, and that he picked it up, and when he picked it up, the thing just sort of evaporated in his hands. Oh. From the same era, a very odd claim was posted on the site NorCal Blogs from a commenter calling himself Pi Guevara, or Guevara, I don't know how to pronounce that, but who claims that his uncle was Oscar Guevara, had taken part in a scientific survey of these sorts of creatures in the 50s and 60s. The remote areas of north of San Francisco had apparently experienced a spate of sightings over a decade, of which were usually referred to as space jellies, which would congregate in the upper atmosphere along the coast, after which they would soar up into the upper atmosphere out of sight. Pi believes the Pi provides a letter that he allegedly received from his uncle, which outlines the phenomena and a study of it, and reads, "This coalescence of space jellies, as we call them, was assumed to be part of a seasonal migration pattern in and about the Western Pacific. With a small joint grant fund from several philanthropic scientific organizations, which shall remain unnamed, I developed a small high-altitude, long-distance, ultralight aircraft, the first of its kind, assisted by an in-flight deployable and detachable ovoid helium balloon. This platform was developed as it had become evident through observation and experimentation that the behavior of these creatures was disturbed by the approach of larger aircraft. It was not by coincidence that the craft bore a distinct resemblance to the large, presumably mature form of space jelly creatures themselves. Working with a shoestring budget, I deployed a modified aqualung attached to a motorcycle helmet and a small forge bellows that was fashioned into a crude but effective and lightweight rebreathing system for high altitudes. For warmth, I wore a gorilla suit." Is this serious?
Wow.
Oh,
Alrighty.
my God. Do you imagine the people that saw this guy floating around? I gotta quit drinking. It was procured from a costumer's auction in Emeryville, and had it fitted with a lining of goose down. From below the aircraft was lowered a fair-sized grappling hook with several large mackerels tied to it. With baling wire, and inside of 6 weeks in the fall of 1973, I had snagged most of these diaphanous jellyfish-like buggers. None of the captured survived the experience, and within minutes dissolved into an odd, steamy smoke. On my final expedition, as per standard operating procedure, I reached the specified location at an altitude of 9,500 feet, deployed the balloon, and floated up into the remaining few of these creatures, which apparently died of fright on the spot, dissolving into thread-like wisps before me. Besides the regrettable loss of the subjects under the study, there was one more unfortunate circumstance. On the last mission, the jettisoning the balloon, I was flying in from the Pacific over the Farallones, about 5,000 feet, toward my hidden base of operations in a remote area of, which was redacted. I was spotted by the U.S. Navy crew on a practice and shakedown cruise, flying a restored antique consolidated Vultee PB-2Y Coronado that was to be displayed in a few days at a Fleet Week exposition near Fisherman's Wharf. They veered off course, followed me, and executed a close and slow pass by over San Francisco Bay, so close I could see the faces of the pilot and crew. The flying boat then abruptly dropped altitude and beached near the Mare Island Naval Shipyard in what, for all intents and purposes, appeared to be an emergency landing. Weeks later, I learned that some Navy sources in Vallejo, who hung out Fridays at the redacted bar and grill, that the pilot and crew recovered from the plane had babbled incoherently for 4 days. All they could get out of them was flying fish bear. Needless to say, this story has never been declassified and likely never will be. The only reason I relate it now is to lay to rest any fears that may still exist about these creatures and confident in the knowledge that no one in their right mind would ever actually believe it. This is a truly far out and spectacular account, and one can't help but wonder how much veracity any of it holds. A guy in a gorilla suit collecting flying jellyfish from the upper atmosphere? Flying fish bears? It is all quite beyond bizarre, and you can't make this stuff up, folks. One quite strange sighting from later years that is really hard to declassify, but also seems to be a type of sky squid, allegedly occurred on December 24th, 1999 in the county of Belarus. On this day, in the country of Belarus, rather, two witnesses in the remote Vitebsk region saw the sky an enormous cigar-shaped object that was blue and red in color, like the color of the clouds at sunset, with a slightly angular quality to it and a round and asymmetric front and rear section that was described as blurry. It appeared as brighter than the early evening sky and seemed to be slightly fluorescent, semi-transparent and seeming to pulsate as it moved along. As it was swimming rather than flying, completely silent the whole time. The sky was otherwise completely clear, and the witnesses both described having the feeling that they were not looking at any type of aircraft, but rather a living creature of some sort. Rather oddly, after observing the object for a short time, one of the witnesses would say that it had suddenly seemed to disintegrate into dots before vanishing. In an interesting twist, there would be another report from an Aeroflot pilot who claimed to have seen the same thing while flying over the area in 1985. From the area of Groningen, Netherlands, we have the case of a similarly bizarre object seen by witness by the name of Harry Purton, who was outside of his home taking pictures of the sky at the time. It was apparently just after a storm, and the cloud and sky had been beautiful. But something stood out very odd. Moving across the sky was a pulsating, flashing green light that appeared for a very short time and vanished. At first he thought it must have been just a weird-looking lightning strike, some remnant from the retreating storm, but when he got home and checked his photos, he saw that one of them had actually picked up a strange object in the sky that looked like a jellyfish, with an eerie green luminosity around it. The picture was soon doing the rounds online, sparking much speculation as to what it could be, including that it was a camera artifact, lens flare, a small meteorite, a space debris, some meteorological phenomena, or even a hoax. Although the photographer himself has stated that he thinks there is a rational explanation for it, and has made no effort to play it up as some sort of UFO, it hasn't been explained. Oh, is that the photo? Wow. Harry Purton's sky squid. Huh. I gotta take a drink.
Oh, that's interesting.
We're not done yet, but it is very interesting. Wow.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the picture.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so another mysterious photo was captured in Andenems, Norway, by witnesses and amateur photographer named Per-Arne Milkalsen. And he was going through photographs he had taken of the northern lights, and he noticed in one of the images a strange green glowing jellyfish-shaped object hovering over the landscape. And it did seem to be the lens artifact or trick of the light, but rather a solid floating object in the sky. It did seem to be. Okay. I think he meant didn't seem to be, but anyway. It was so strange that he posted the photograph online, and a deluge of responses came in, with many suggesting that it was the northern lights reflecting off of something, such as a satellite or a cloud. Seriously? But it was also pointed out that such a reflection is unlikely to be green. It still hasn't completely been solved, and Milkalsen himself has said, "I've never seen an object like this before and am eager to find an explanation for this phenomena." Yeah, that is bizarre. Huh. In 1998, there was a mass sighting of some sort of sky jellyfish in China. On October 19th of that year, 4 military radar stations in Hebei province picked up a strange radar signature hovering near a military flight training school in Changzhou, about 90 miles northwest of Shanghai. While no other known civilian or military aircraft were shown to be in the area, it was alarming enough that a Jinzhou 6 fighter jet was scrambled and sent to investigate, and when they approached, both the pilot and the radar officer on the jet would claim they saw a mushroom or jellyfish-shaped object with a bottom section covered with bright, dangling lights. Whatever it was proved to be very evasive, suddenly beginning to ascend as the fighter approached, with the pilot even at one point requesting permission to fire on it, which was denied. The object seemed to toy with the jet before suddenly ascending at a rapid pace, and the jet then chased it to an altitude of 39,600 feet before being forced to return to base due to lack of fuel. 2 more jets were sent out, but by the time that they arrived on the scene, the object was gone. It would later turn out that 140 witnesses on the ground had seen the object as well, including many cadets and officers at the flight school, all of whom described the exact same thing. Considering that the original report ran in a respected newspaper, the Hubei Daily, it is considered to be credible due to the fact that mainstream Chinese newspaper hardly ever mentions anything to do with UFOs or the supernatural. A very weird report comes to us from December 3rd, 2004, from 2 witnesses who were driving from Point Pleasant to Huntington, West Virginia, along the Ohio River when they saw something that is really hard to categorize. As they drove along in the early morning, they even noticed a movement over the road in front of them. Before, out on the gloom, came a grayish, smooth, winged shape that they described as looking like a flying manta ray, with gray translucent skin and a wingspan wider than a 2-lane road. The outlandish beast just sort of glided towards them and then performed a figure-8 maneuver and swooped right over their car to disappear. Not long after this sighting, there would be a separate report from a woman and her daughter near Blackwater River who also saw what they called a manta ray-shaped creature glide over their car on a lonely rural road. What could this have possibly been? Who knows? A more recent account was given to the site Phantoms and Monsters and comes from a witness in Perth, Australia, who is referred to many as BD. The witness claims that in 2012 he was out front of his house one evening having a cigarette when his attention was drawn to the curious sight of the light patterns of the stars being disrupted by something passing over them. At first he thought it might be a plane, but it soon became apparent that this was no aircraft. The witness explains, as it got closer, the way it moved resembled the way a jellyfish would swim, if it was horizontal, and it was hard to describe, but it looked to be expanding at the front like a balloon, and then using the air to propel itself along. It was roughly 100 meters above me, and I watched it for 10 minutes. After that, it was out of sight. This was during a clear night sky in Australia, and I'm very familiar with aircraft, as I live relatively close to Jundakot Airport, and we see and hear them all the time. It was certainly not a machine of any kind. I yelled out to my mother-in-law, who was staying at the time, to come out and look. She also saw it. I filmed it on my smartphone, but being 8 p.m. at night, it was pitch black, and you couldn't see anything. If I had to guess, I would say the feeling I was left with is that it was some kind of creature. It moved gracefully and gradually in a large, deliberate movements, like a large bird would do with a large flap of its wings. Then gliding for a bit, though this was unlike anything I could describe, it appeared to be translucent in parts and remained at the same altitude and speed, but was just completely silent. Amazingly, there was a follow-up report from a different witness who claims that he and a friend saw what appears to be the same creature or similar creature around Perth at around the same time as this sighting. The witness says of the creature, I would like to confirm the story of the flying jellyfish-like creature as described on your forum by BD. There were actually 2 of us, actually not just myself. We were in Perth CBD, actually, having a glass of wine on a quite loud jazz music playing balcony about 10 meters from the ground. I am so thrilled to find out that there was another person who has seen this. The creature was behaving exactly as described by BD, so basically like jellyfish without any long tentacles. About the size of a balloon, it was kind of changing according to the different colored lighting attached to the balcony, and it was flying upwards so effortlessly that it is really precious. I have finally found this. I've been searching for so long, and I have to be honest, I don't recall the exact day, but it seems to have been the same night as BD mentioned, and we had seen it around 9 or 10 p.m., either Friday or Saturday. The creature wasn't too shy either, meaning it didn't fly off in a hurry. Would gladly put my hand to my heart on this one and now may actually try to find it again, but who knows? How often do they appear? What could such a creature be? One idea is that they're a type of theoretical organism known as an atmospheric beast. Atmospheric beasts, or atmospheric life forms as they are often called, are said to be organisms that live their entire lives floating high in the atmosphere, undetected by humans. These creatures are most often described as having bodies that are semi-solid and almost insubstantial, with some reports even claiming that they were able to adjust their destiny from almost immaterial and invisible to more solid, depending on as yet unknown factors. Numerous theories have been posted as to how such seemingly fantastical organisms could manage to stay adrift in the air, such as air bladders or very low body densities. That's weird. The appearance of these atmospheric beasts varies wildly. Accounts have variously described them as amorphous and cloud-like behemoths, finned squid-like creatures, floating jellyfish, translucent vaporous blobs, flitting rods, amoeba-like organisms, gelatinous oddities, and even dragons. The sizes of atmospheric beasts likewise run the gamut from tiny and bird-like to gargantuan monsters hundreds of feet long. Although these enigmatic creatures are said to be typically lurking too high in the atmosphere or to be too insubstantial to see with the naked eye, there are instances where one might become observable for some reason. Indeed, there has been a substantial amount of sighting reports over the years from all over the world, describing unusual flying monsters that do not fit into the typical mold of UFOs, thunderbirds, or other flying cryptids. Are these anomalies some type of life form? Or are these some sort of rare type of alien craft, an atmospheric phenomena, or something else altogether? It is hard to say, and such cases remain lodged into the very fringes of the world of the weird. Wow.
Yeah, you weren't kidding. I mean, this is something I've never heard of.
Right.
Like, yeah.
It's very, very strange stuff.
Rachel even said some kind of sky colony creature that may have a symbolic relationship with an algae like a slime mold lichen jellyfish with the ability to form a lighter than air gas.
Did it say symbiotic or symbolic?
It was symbiotic.
Okay, just wondering. That to me
you were right.
Sense. Okay, yeah. No, there's an old video going around. It's filmed on a potato, but it was some old flip phone way back in the day. But it comes from maybe Saudi Arabia, maybe Iran, maybe some Arabic country. But this guy's in this car, and suddenly this cloud, and it looks like a cloud, comes down in the road in front of him. There's people everywhere. And everybody's looking at it like, what the hell is this? And then it kind of comes over to a fence. A chain link fence is along the road. And it kind of rolls and rolls, and it looks like it's unrolling. And pieces of this cloud are staying on the fence. Very, very weird. I wonder if I can find that. Because it would be very interesting to discuss on the show. Cloud beings filmed. I'm just going to do a rudimentary search and see if anything. This is mostly, it looks like the usual. This looks like a face in the clouds. Looks like a hand. Yeah. I'm just looking quick through this list. I'll try to look it up for maybe another Night Terrors on Sunday and we can talk about it then. But yeah, I'm not seeing it at least now. So it's something to look for, but it's just very unusual. And the guy actually gets out of the car, puts his hand in the thing, and kind of comes out with this bit of cloud that seems to be evaporating as he's holding it. But this thing is moving as though it has an intelligence. I don't know. It's very, very
I
weird.
think I know what video you're talking about.
Okay. Well, it's very, very strange. But it's very old, and the quality is horrible. So it's really hard to make any kind of determination, of course. But it does seem to be legit. And the reason I like those old grainy videos is that, for the most part, people don't waste their time trying to edit those, because it's very hard to match that poor quality. When you're trying to do edits and stuff, you'll see some videos that are clearly faked, where the film quality itself is very questionable and pixelated, but then this crystal clear thing will come in. It's like, yeah, I don't think that's legit. I think that might have been tampered with. So
Fourth Color just donated $5. Thank you so much.
Oh, very cool. Thank you very much. Yeah, I appreciate that a bunch. Yeah, I'll look for it, guys, to see if I can find it. I also got to show you guys the Frankenbug that I have pictures of myself. And very cool. It's a big bee fly something. It's very, very big, very uncomfortably big. And it's the one that Oliver saw and freaked out. And remember how he used to get so freaked out about bugs all the time? Be like a small bug. Yeah, bug. And I'm like, oh, it's fine. It's just a bug. And I looked over and, oh my God, that's a big bug. Even I freaked out when I saw it. So I did capture it under glass and took some pictures, and then proceeded to take it out and let it go. But I've never seen anything like it, not before that or since that. It's one of those really weird ones. But, ladies and gentlemen, the time has come. It is time now for the Germa Files.
Yes.
My sister she's 69 years old, so she's 16 years older than me. My mother was married to her father. She had my two oldest sisters with him. They divorced. My grandmother lived in Moro, Arkansas. It's a small, I don't even know if you could call it a town. It was a farming town. They had a farm, they grew cotton. And this was back in 1959. And so they were poor, just had an old farmhouse, no air conditioning or anything like that. My grandfather had died at 45. So my grandmother was left raising 6 of her 9 kids by herself. My mother moved in with my 2 sisters to help my grandmother out because she was on her own. They were trying to work this cotton farm, and they were working in town. My mother worked at a diner. And so my sister told me that she said I was about 9 years old. It was 1959. She said me and the couple of my aunts and uncle were out in the yard. They were playing hide and seek. And she said it was in the summer. She said, and I was it. So I was counting. And she said, I looked up, and when I did, she said, I seen what I thought was a man walking down the road towards our property. She said it was weird because it was sort of walking, sort of kind of slouched over forward, and the arms were slinging back and forth. And she said, I thought it was a drunk man. She said, but I noticed that as it got closer, I could see the hair swaying from its arms. And so she said, I immediately thought, oh my God, that's a monkey. Well, they had a bridge right before you get to their property. It had a creek that ran up under it. She said, this thing jumps over the bridge. And she said, it was a good ways down to the creek from the top of the bridge. Her dad was a naval officer, and he had come the next day. And she said, you know how you are when you're kids, you got something on your mind. She said, I just nagged him. I kept telling him, Daddy, there's a monkey down there in the woods. And she said, finally, he goes, come on, girl, let's go down there and see what you're talking about. And she said, sure enough, in that sandy bank, she said, I have never seen footprints that big in my life. She said, Daddy put his foot inside of it and it just swallowed it. And she said, I commenced to going, I told you there was a monkey. And she said, I can remember him grabbing my hand and squeezing it. And he said, come on, girl, let's get out of here. And she said, but I told you there's a monkey down here, right? And he said, no. He goes, it's just a giant bird. Well, that night, they were poor. They didn't have any air. And she said, me being the oldest, she said, I got to sleep by the window. We had pushed the bed up against the window, and there was like 3 or 4 of them in a bed. And they had it raised. And she said, we had a screen on there to keep the mosquitoes out. She said, I was asleep, and I felt something hot on my face. And she said, I had to tilt my head back to look up at the window. And she said, taking the whole window up, she said, I just thought a gorilla. This thing is a massive gorilla. And she said, I swear to you, Johnny, that thing had red eyes. And I was like, were they glowing? Did you have, she said, we didn't have any dusk to dawn lights or anything. She said, it was pitch black on that farm. And she said, there was no way these things could be picking up any kind of light. She said, these eyes were red. And she said, I was so terrified I could not scream. She said, so I managed to grab the sheet. And she said, I don't know, it could have taken me hours to finally pull that thing up over my head. She said, because being 9 years old, I kept thinking, if I can cover my head up, it can't see me. And she said, so I finally was able to get the cover over my head. And she said, I just laid there just trembling, thinking that it's going to reach its arm in and it's going to grab me. She said, at some point I fell asleep. She said, I did wind up falling asleep. She said, but Grandma was hanging clothes out on the line one day. And she said, this is during the middle of the day. And she turns around and that thing's standing there in their yard watching my grandmother. Well, my grandmother screams, and this is where my aunt picks up the story that she had told me a few years ago. And they're all telling, all the stories are consistent between my aunts and my sister. And this has been years ago. And my aunt told me, she said, I hear Mama screaming to grab the gun. And she said, all we had was a little 22. She said, so I get it. And when I run outside, she said, Mama's in the car. This thing had been watching her, and when she screamed, it took off running down the road. My grandmother was a small Scottish woman. I mean, she wasn't even 5 foot tall. She was really little. And she said, Mama is flying down the road. We're trying to catch up with it. And she said, I'm 12 years old. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? What do you want me to do? And she said, get out and shoot that damn thing. She said, so it jumps over the bridge. She said, Mom skids to a stop. And she said, I'm terrified because I'm thinking this thing's going to grab me. And she's like, what do I do? What do I do? What if this thing gets me? And she goes, I'll call the sheriff. Shoot it. She said, well, I ease over and look over the bridge. And she said, I don't see anything. She said, so I'm thinking that it was hiding up underneath the bridge. Well, this thing kept coming up on their property a lot. My sister actually told me, she said, yeah, I think that house was haunted too. And I was like, well, why do you think that? And she said, well, one night we were sitting there and she said, like on Saturday night, scary movies would come on. She said, so all of us kids would go in the living room. And she said, of course, Mom and Grandma weren't there. We were there by ourselves watching a movie. And she said, all of a sudden the front door starts shaking, and it's shaking so bad that you can see the frame bending and the door bending. Something's trying to break into the house. She said, so I think, there was a ghost. And I was like, well, Beverly, I mean, wasn't that creature around at the same time? And she said, yeah, it was around the same time. And I was like, do you not think that thing was maybe trying to get into the house? And she was like, well, I never thought about that. She's like, I'd never thought about it like that. She goes, it was still haunted because one night we were asleep and she said, Janie had gotten up and I felt her walking on the mattress and jumping. And she said, I look up and there is a ball of light in our bedroom and she's trying to catch it. And I asked her, I said, what are you doing? She said, I'm trying to catch this ball of light. And she said, I seen it too. She goes, I don't know what it was. It kept floating around in the air and she kept trying to jump up and grab it and it would move. So she said, I just pulled her on her nightgown and told her, you need to lay back down. We just need to go to sleep. But anyways, how that story ended was there was about 20 farmers around that area that were having problems with this creature coming up. It was stealing chickens, it was scaring women and kids. So these farmers got together one night and they decided they were going to go hunt this thing down. And she said it was a posse. She said maybe 20, 25, maybe 30 men. They go out at night to go hunt it. And she said, I don't know if they killed it or if they ran it off. She said, but we never seen it again after that.
Wow. Excellent story.
No kidding. Wow.
Excellent story. Again, that was brought to you all courtesy of Mr. Wes Germer and Sasquatch Chronicles. So thank you for letting us showcase that here on the show. As always, I love doing that. And we're going to showcase another one either tomorrow or Saturday night, depending on how tomorrow night goes or what we're doing. But I think that story is so powerful, and you can just hear it in her voice, that the excitement and the energy that she's relaying, and it's just compelling as hell.
Yeah, that's a great story.
I agree. And all I can say, folks, is that's gonna about wrap it up. Let me get you back on the screen. Where are we?
All right, screen time.
Yeah, a little more of you. Now we can just not only hear you, but actually see you. But did you have a good night?
Oh, I had a great night. So yeah, it ended up the way I hoped it would.
Good. Well, there you have it. I'm glad we were able to continue the role and have a fantastic show as well. But thank you all out there for being a part of our journey. Sheldon, anything in closing?
Absolutely. As always, if you want to stay more connected to us and the Paranormal Portal community in general, you can join our Discord, which I'll put right in the chat right now. You can follow that link, and lots of great chats on there. We stay on there as much as we can during the day, so if you have any questions or anything like that, just let us know.
Absolutely, and it's in the chat, folks, the new Discord server. I've always got it open here, so I do try to check in every once in a while and see what's going on, but thank you to all of you who have been active over there and posting things. You guys have had some great discussions, and it's been a pleasure to join in when I'm able. So, but that's going to wrap it up for us, folks. I need some sleep. I need to close my eyes because the cold medicine has just wiped me all out. I'm just like, So, but thank you, Sheldon, for being here with me. I appreciate it. Good night, Mom. And thank you for being here. And thank you, all of you, for being here.
Absolutely, yes.
Absolutely. So,
the people,
you bunch of weirdos, we love you. And thank you for being a part of the journey. So, remember, I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other, help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
I'll talk to you tomorrow. Until then, sweet dreams.